Howdy again, everybody. This is Doc with ThoroFan, and we're just about a week now into the new era of racing under HISA regulatory authority. And the sky hasn't fallen yet. Some ominous clouds ahead as I'm overhead, or I should say, as I'm recording this. But no major catastrophes in the racing world. Things seem to have moved across without too much of a problem. Yes, there are little hiccups, and I'm sure there are going to be individual issues that some have with the system, and there are certainly going to be things that are going to have to be tweaked and bugs that are going to have to be worked out of the system, as would be the case with anything in this large of a rollout. But a couple of new things under the rules now that specifically pertain to trainers and the records trainers need to keep in regards to their horses, as well as what's going on with the claiming rules. So I figured now would be as good a time as any to kind of look a little bit deeper into that as we go discussing trainers' responsibilities as well as the claiming game under HISA. Alright, so as I said, there certainly are some new rules that have come into play now when it comes to HISA and the authority they have and what covered persons that are trainers are going to have to start doing to ensure that all the proper records get submitted for their horses, as well as potentially get transferred in the event that that horse was claimed. And a lot of the information that I'm getting this from is from listening to various webinars that have been put on by various HISA personnel, as well as just looking at a new publication that came out from HISA right around the end of June, beginning of July, and that basically is the trainer's handbook that they have put out that kind of helps organize some of these things into a little bit easier to understand areas. So we're going to try to talk about this the best way that we can, and I'm going to try to explain it the best way that I currently understand the new rules and regs when it comes to trainer responsibilities and the claiming game and transferring of records and ownership under the claiming rules. So a lot of this is going to be coming straight from the handbook, so feel free to read or listen along as we kind of go through some of this stuff. And one important thing to note from the start is that all trainers are basically now required to maintain a record of medical, therapeutic, and surgical treatments or other procedures for every covered horse in his or her control. So basically that they are training, since usually the trainer is going to be listed as the responsible person of record for that covered horse. What's interesting, a couple of things here. It only pertains to medications or things kind of in the veterinary realm, medication realm, treatment realm that are done to that horse. It does not require them to submit or keep copies of any kind of their training schedules, anything else they may do in the course of the training of the horse. It really is just focused on the medical, veterinary, and treatment side of things. And I think this is going to hopefully come as a relief to a lot of trainers, because they were afraid that they were going to have to reveal everything that they do. And of course, some trainers do have certain tricks that, they want to keep to themselves to potentially help a horse move up or things like that, or that are hopefully not in the illegal realm, but just different training tricks they may have. So it really only affects that aspect. Trainers are not going to be required to submit those records to HISA. They really are just going to be required to have them on hand to be able to submit to HISA should the need arise, as well as be able to provide those to the new owners and trainers of a horse if they were claimed from that stable, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So that's a really important thing. Where there's going to be some confusion, I think, in this is in regards to horses that are shipped off track for layups or recoveries, or maybe training at a private stable or things like that, and maybe that would then come back in, ship in, as we say, to racer work. And as far as things are written now, there's kind of two rules in there, and I'm going to read them. And it says, for horses shipping in to a racer work off the vet's list after 30 days from a facility that is not under HISA's jurisdiction, trainers must obtain 30 days of treatments and procedures. So they are still going to want some of that information to see exactly what was done to the horse while they were at that layup facility. Now, if horses shipping in a racer work off the vet's list after 60 days, which is their definition of a layup, from a facility that is not under HISA's jurisdiction, trainers must also obtain the last 30 days of rehabilitation activities, which again is going to kind of be interesting because that's kind of a broad term. So we're going to have to wait and see exactly what kind of records they're going to be looking for there. And, again, it's something that's probably going to have to be worked out a little bit, but right now trainers are responsible to at least have those records, and they really are only records of things that the trainer or his or her staff is doing to the horse. So if, let's say, a horse is prescribed medication that they have to give orally twice a day for a month, they have to note that every day that horse was given that medication. If it's things that were being done by the veterinarian, and we're going to talk about the veterinary responsibilities in another segment, those things do not need to be included on this trainer's record or report or things that they have to hold on to as far as record keeping. Those types of things will have to be submitted by the veterinarian themselves, because that's something the veterinarian themselves did and not necessarily the trainer. So there's a little bit of a distinction there as well. So those are some of the things as far as record keeping that the trainer is going to now have to be responsible to hold on to. And hopefully they were doing a lot of that already, but obviously this is going to make it official and something that they're going to have on hand. And there are templates out there that HISA has put together that you can get right on the HISA website that will allow trainers to kind of use the forms that HISA has created to be able to keep track of these things for hopefully a little bit ease of usage and ease of getting up to speed on all of this stuff. So that's a little bit on the trainer side. Now looking at the claiming game, because there's been a lot of questions and also a lot of requirement even before HISA, or request for requirement before HISA, I should say, of having records, and especially veterinarian treatment records, transferred from trainer of the claimed horse to the new owner and trainer of the claimed horse. This way there's continuity of treatment and there's not duplication of treatments, especially when it comes to things like joint injections or other supplements that may have been given, treatments, things of that nature. And now under HISA, it's going to be required that the last 30 to 60 days of medications, treatments, therapeutics, rehabilitation, anything that was done to that horse in that realm, to then be transferred to the new owner and trainer after that claim is official. And that's going to kind of be done in two ways. The first of which is if there are veterinary records that are required then to be uploaded to the HISA system, those records are automatically going to be transferred over to the new covered person. And so basically it's the claiming clerk will help take care of that through the HISA website and through the HISA database to then transfer those records from the previous owner and trainer, whoever is the responsible person, to the new responsible person, which will probably be the trainer. Now, as far as the other, just what we call trainer records, the ones of just keeping track of daily treatments that might have been given, other things of that nature, it's still going to be required for the trainer to transfer those records to the new trainer of the claimed horse, but it's not going to really be done through the HISA system, from what I can understand. The HISA system is going to give reminders to the new and old trainer that these records have to be transferred, but then it's going to have to be shown that the records were transferred, usually electronically through email, to the new trainer, and then that's going to have to be verified for all of that to be taken care of. So I don't know if that's going to change a little bit in the future. Maybe they will figure out a way to do that all through the HISA system, where then it's just the claiming clerk or whoever's responsible for entering and transferring things regarding claims at a racetrack to automatically transfer that information over to the new trainer without having to kind of go through that extra outside step. But we'll see where all of that goes. Another interesting thing about the claiming rule is now the ability to basically deny a claim or void a claim is going to be universal over all of the racetracks. And this was not the case at some racetracks, and it was something that had been requested for a long time. And of course, at a lot of major racing jurisdictions, it was the rule beforehand, and now HISA has just made that basically the rule across the board for all races that are covered by HISA. So again, I'm just going to read as far as what their void claim rule is. Claims are voided if the horse dies, is euthanized, bled, is banned off the racetrack, or is later found to test positive for a prohibited substance. Additionally, all claimed horses go to the test barn for observation by a regulatory veterinarian, and if a regulatory veterinarian determines within 1 hour of the race that the horse will be placed on the veterinarian's list as bled, physically distressed, medically compromised, unsound, or lame before the horse is released to the successful claimant, that claim is also void. Now, there's a way for somebody wanting to claim a horse where they can check a box that says we're going to take the horse regardless, even if that is found. But it is nice to see that all these horses will at least be getting oversight for about an hour after the race. If you want my personal opinion, every horse should basically be going to a kind of a observation barn after a race where a veterinarian can watch every horse that came out of the race and be watched for maybe a half hour to an hour as they're cooling out to see if there are any issues that might then force them to be put on the veterinarian's list. Kind of a talk for another day, but has always been kind of something that I've wanted to see. The other very interesting thing about this is the testing for a positive for a prohibited substance. Anybody that kind of follows racing knows that a lot of times test results take 2 or 3 weeks, if you're lucky, to come back. So there's been a lot of questions and really valid questions brought up by the horsemen on this, saying what happens in the event that a horse tests positive 2 or 3 weeks after it's claimed. That horse may have already run again, number one, or it may be have shipped across country. It definitely probably is not at the same location it was. Who's responsible then for paying for all of that transport back? Does that mean the horse automatically has to be returned to the previous person? Who is ultimately responsible for all of this? Is there a way to maybe speed up the testing process? Nobody really knows. So that's going to be a very interesting thing that's going to be tested, I guess, at some point if a claimed horse does come back positive for something. And it doesn't really stipulate in here either as to exactly when that positive is declared an official positive. If, there are arbitrary rules in here, or arbitration rules in here, I should say, that allow appeals to be made. So if these appeals go on, that just can drag things out even longer. So is the horse is kind of kept in a limbo there, I think, as well as the new and old connections of the horse while all of this is played out. So the only simple thing it would seem to be able to kind of correct a lot of this would be to somehow fast track at least the samples that were taken from claimed horses. I do think this is probably possible because if you follow some of the really big races, the Triple Crown races, the Breeders' Cup races, 48 hours at most, you're reading the stories of all the horses tested clean pre and post race. So it can be done. Now, maybe there's a way that they are looking to set that up just for claimed horses to allow that expedited process to happen so we don't run into this problem. We're just going to have to wait and see. So those are kind of two of the more interesting things so far that are happening with HISA. Again, there's going to be hiccups along the road. There's going to be things that are also brought up. I'm in the process now of looking through all of the anti-doping and medication rules and the comments that are being made on that. So it'll be interesting to see how all of that plays out and if a lot of that is feasible or not. And it's going to be probably more questions than answers, at least moving forward for the next couple of months with HISA as everything kind of evens itself out and we get a good couple of weeks at least under the new authority to see how things go. So that's kind of where we stand right now with HISA as far as at least trainer records and the claiming rules are concerned. And we're going to dig a little deeper in some future segments, as I said, to look at some of the other aspects of things that are now in effect and how they might be affecting the day-to-day racing going forward. But hope that kind of informs at least some people that had some questions about specifically what the new rules regarding trainer responsibilities were, and especially in the claiming ranks, things that are potentially being done there. So until we hit our next segment, I am Doc with ThoroFan, and as always, if you have any questions about anything regarding both HISA or anything in the sport, go ahead, drop us a line here at ThoroFan, put the question in the comments section. We will try to get the answer out to you as quickly as we possibly can, and as always, remember as well that if you are looking for the most up-to-date, accurate, and honest information out there about the sport of thoroughbred racing made for you, the fan, by us, the fans, there's only one place you need to turn, and that is right here at ThoroFan.